and you have found yourself in maybe a really complicated situation, or maybe you're trying to grow yourself professionally and you're just not quite sure which path you should take. Well, in this video, I'm going to provide you with answers, and this is an opportunity for you to ask me any questions as it relates to professional development that can help you accelerate your career growth. I encourage you to learn from my over 20 years of experience as a director, as a C-suite executive, and as a manager to help you find that best path as it relates to the direction that you're trying to go to in your career. Now, I have a couple of questions that were already asked to me earlier. I'm going to start off with those questions first to get the conversation going. But if you're watching this video in the replay, you're more than welcome to ask me any questions and just put them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them for you and give you some clarity in terms of your next steps. I'll tell you, one of the biggest challenges that I faced developing as a woman in leadership, and I would say this probably goes for not only women in leadership but men in leadership as well, is finding people that are really good mentors for you. And I will personally say that I started to find really good mentors when I went to dental school at Howard University College of Dentistry. That's where I really started to see the value of mentorship and really had some amazing instructors to help me. That was very, very, very late in my professional career. I did not go to school initially to go to dental school. And that in-between time period before I went to dental school, I really didn't have any guidance. So I want to be able to provide you all with some support and just test this out on my channel to see if you all like this information. If you do, feel free to like this video and let me know. This is a live stream video, so there is typically a point in the video where people will join. If you're watching this portion of it, you're more than likely watching the replay, and I'm glad that you're here. Welcome, welcome. And give me just a few moments so that I can say hello to everyone and greet them, and then just ask me any questions as it relates to professional development for you specifically, and I will give you some answers as best as I can for the brief time that I am with you all today. Now, the first question that I was asked, and I'm going to summarize it because I can't read it because I'm driving, but the question specifically focuses around this individual, this woman in leadership. She is at a point in her career where she is about to finish her career in the corporate world. And she's been working as a C-suite for 15 years. And she's at the point where she's ready to do something different. And so her question specifically was, what am I supposed to do now that I'm outside of being a C-suite? I've already been a leader, I've already been a manager. So what am I supposed to do? So before I go into that, let me say hello to 305 Retro King. Welcome, welcome, friend. How you doing today? 305 Retro King says, flawlessly beautiful, queen. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions as it relates to professional development, let me know. And for those of you who are joining today, welcome, welcome. Glad y'all here today. If you're trying to advance yourself in your career professionally, this is the place for you to be at today, friends. If you want to learn, truly learn some insight, feel free to ask me any questions here for the brief few minutes I have with you all today. I appreciate the heart emojis. Let me know where you're joining from in this big, beautiful world today. Let me know so I can support you in the way that I can. The question that I was asked previously is, this person, this individual has been working as a C-suite executive for a really long time, and she's trying to figure out what to do with life now that she's at the point where she's ready to stop. All right, but before I go into that, let me say hello to Oakley Jackson. Oakley Jackson, welcome, welcome. How you doing today? Oakley Jackson says, is that Florida? Yes, I am in the Sunshine State of Florida. Yes, I am. Viviana Rojas, hello, friend. How you doing today? Let me know if you have any questions as it relates to professional development, and if you like this information, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Oakley Jackson says, because I'm in Florida. Yes, I am in Florida also. I am in South Florida, actually. So yes, you are right. I think when you see Florida, you know Florida, if that makes sense. Now, as I mentioned, the person that gave me a question earlier, and feel free to ask me any questions you all have as it relates to professional development. The question is, this person has been a C-suite executive for 15 years, and she's trying to figure out what to do with life, if that makes sense. My answer to her specifically is the following. When you work as a C-suite, and I've worked as a C-suite for a really long time also, but there comes a point in your career in your professional development when you start thinking that you're tired of this life. You're tired of life as a C-suite executive, and you're ready to do something else. But oftentimes we just don't know what that something else is. Like, what is it that we're supposed to be doing? So let me share with you what you can maybe consider doing at this particular stage in your career. Typically, as a C-suite executive, you probably have already mastered some skill set. There's a reason you're a C-suite executive. C-suite executives think, operate, function just differently than the average individual. They do. And there is some type of skill set that you have been able to gain at this point in your career. Therefore, I would say the first thing I would do if I was in your position, because I've been in your position, is to think about the skills, or think about the traits that you're very, very good at. What are they that you're very good at? And figure out how can you monetize these skills. More specifically, what are some ways that you can generate revenue for yourself in this role based on the skills that you have learned? Why is this really important? Because when you're at that level of a C-suite and you're trying to transition to something else, and you've been at the senior levels of leadership, so you're at that top of the corporate ladder, if that makes sense. So where do you go from here? I would say work for yourself. I always encourage people to try entrepreneurship. It might be scary. I appreciate the heart emojis, friends. It might be scary, but I would say if you are there, then you're in a very good position to at least be a consultant, right? You can at least consult someone on something. If you're working as a C-suite executive, you have gained some form of a skill set that is at a higher level than other people. So I would start there first. If you want some more support in terms of how to get that, maybe think about specifically strategy-wise what you need to consider as you're making this transition, then reach out to me for a strategy session below. I know the person that asked me this question, so I know we're going to be working together at some point in time. But for those of you who may be a little unclear in terms of your career and where you're going, then let me know in the comments below. Let me know how I can help you. Ask me any questions while I have some time with you all this morning so I can support you. So Vivian Rojas says, hi, hello again, Vivian. Let me know where you all are joining from in the big, beautiful world today. And then let me know, what are some challenges you're facing professionally right now? Maybe there's some positions you're applying for, or perhaps you're not quite sure of where you want to go career-wise. Let me know in the comments below. Ask me any questions that you have, and I'll be able to provide you with some answers to help you, because I understand how it is very challenging in your professional development when you do not have the ability to ask people questions or get some answers. So that's really my purpose of helping you all today. So that was my first question. So when is a C-suite executive? For those of you who just joined, welcome, welcome. The first question was, I had an individual that submitted a question. She was a C-suite executive and she's trying to determine what to do with her life now. What is the next steps? Now, the second question that I was asked, and feel free to ask me any questions, everyone, is it centered around, excuse me, and I'm sorry, I'm still in the weather, out of weather. I've been in and under, out of the weather for a long time, for at least a couple months now, it feels like it. But the second question I had specifically asked about what is the skill set this individual wants to learn. So let me go into detail. And as I mentioned, I can't read the question specifically, but I can give you a summary of what the question was. So this individual is relatively new in her leadership journey, and she's wanting to advance in her role. And so she's been in some really unique opportunities, but she feels like she's not progressing in her career professionally at the level or at the speed that she would like to. And so her question centered around, what skills do I need to master in order for me to start accelerating my career growth? And if you can at least narrow it down to one skill, what would that one skill be? And I one, appreciate the question. And then two, there is one skill, okay? There is one skill. And I would say there's a lot of skills to help you advance professionally and get to that next level pretty quickly. But let's narrow it down to one or two. I would say if I could only give you one, I would say I'm going to give you one, but I'm going to give you a bonus of a second one. The first skill that I would recommend for you to learn how to master if you are struggling in your career, maybe you're not moving forward as quickly as you'd like to, is communication. That is the number one skill you have to have. I'll preface it by this. I say it's communication. That's for me in my over 20 years of experience, just being in different types of leadership roles as a senior leader also. But I was listening to a interview with Warren Buffett and Bill Gates where they were together, and they were talking to a group of college students, and the college students were asking, what's the one skill that we need to learn how to master? And Warren Buffett mentioned that one skill is communication. And so I'm not sharing with you communication for the sake of me saying communication, because this is something that I'm deeply passionate about. But I also say this because other people recognize it too. So before I go into how communication is the skill I would master and what I'm going to give you as a bonus, I'm going to say hello to Antonella Arabia. Hello, friend. How you doing today? Let me know where you're joining from. If you have any questions related to professional development, let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer any questions for you. That's the purpose of this live this morning. Now, for the viewer that asked that question I asked earlier, for those of you who just joined, what's the one skill that you can start mastering that will help you to accelerate your growth professionally?